Hi guys, welcome back. I'm sure you heard Big Lots and Party City are going after out of business, and they've been a staple of our lives for so long. Let's hear what people have to say about it.
I just wanted to say how sorry I am for all the people that work for Party City, the 700 plus stores, finding out 5 days before Christmas that they're going to be laid off. Today was their last day of work.
That's awful.
It's really sad.
Yeah,
I really feel for you guys. Another store's biting the dust.
that is such a bummer. Amazon has literally taken away everything. And I have to have my Amazon Prime so I can watch Thursday Night Football. It's sick, but it's true.
I just think it's so crazy how Party City is going out of business, and like y'all have been in business for years. Years. Y'all probably knew y'all were going under for months. Y'all know how hard it is out here for people to get jobs and whatever. So you made the choice not to tell your employees that you're closing down because you were forcing them to ride the wave all the way.
Wait a minute. I think that they should have given a little advance notice, but if people go from making $8 an hour for minimum wage to 12 to 15 to 20, it becomes really hard for businesses to stay afloat. I think that has at least a little to do with why so many stores are closing over the last few years. Let me know your thoughts down below.
Y'all knew y'all were closing. Y'all knew for months, maybe even longer. I worked for Route 21, and Route 21, as you guys know, have been going out of business back and forth for the last 3 years, maybe longer. But when it was going out of business during my time, they did not tell us. When I tell you I went shopping at Route 21 while they were liquidating, and there was nothing in the store but the mannequins because the employees were taking everything out of there. So now that they got bought out and they're reopening their stores back, you think they're going to hire the people that they laid off, the people that rolled the wave all the way down? No. That's why they stole all that shit. And that's probably why Party City didn't tell their employees anything. Because for some employees, what is it, the corporate office, today's their last day. They have no time to prepare. They have no time to steal. It's crazy because now these videos are going viral of like the HR people or corporate people apologizing and saying that this is not how they do business. Y'all have been doing business for years. Y'all know how to do a layoff. Y'all have common sense, I would hope. Enough to tell people when they are losing their job.
Especially at Christmas time. That is tough.
Party City is done with. They laid off all their employees. They weren't paying their rent. They weren't paying anything. They didn't even let them give them a notice. Nothing. Like, Party City's done with. Everything's on sale right now. They're trying to get rid of everything. First 99-cent store and now Party City. This is super crazy. I just passed this morning at the 99-cent store and I'm like, oh my God, I'd rather have the 99-cent store than the Dollar Tree. Like, the Dollar Tree's not even a dollar, it's $1.25 now. And half of the time, I don't buy nothing there. We need my 99-cent store back, my opinion. But I really cannot believe Party City's done. I mean, it was super expensive. But when I couldn't find that certain balloon, or I needed the number balloons huge and ready to go, I would just order and grab it. But Party City is done, guys. Done.
You never know what you have until it's gone. Real sad situation. I'm feeling for all those people that are unemployed right here going into the new year. And supposedly, from what I hear, it's been kind of difficult and challenging for people to get jobs lately.
Here's what you guys think about this. A CEO gets on a Zoom call with you and says, we're going to close operations in the US. And we're going to do that, over the course of the next few weeks. But today is your last day. And today is also your last paycheck. And this message is being delivered to you 5 days before Christmas.
Ouch.
What are your thoughts on that? How do you feel about that? How do you think it should be handled or not handled?
I feel like all these places make up our past. They make up our lives. We were in a lot of these places that have gone out of business. Especially Blockbuster Video. God, I miss my Blockbuster. If you do too, let me know. I feel like going to the movies has just changed over the last few years, where all it is Marvel and DC movies. It's driving me nuts. We aren't going to realize how bad this is until our kids grow up and they need to get their first job and they don't have these wonderful companies to go to, even if you don't think it's so wonderful.
I just found out that our store is closing,
Poor
and
thing.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. The younger kids will be fine, but the older ones, like me and one of my good friends that works here, we don't know what we're gonna do. And this just sucks. Like, this sucks.
She's the key holder.
So, our store is officially closing, and we are starting to pack it up now. All this behind me will be gone very soon.
It kind of surprises me that there are dollar stores and stores like this, period. Not because these things aren't stuff that people want, but a lot of times when you sell really inexpensive stuff, you have to sell a lot of it consistently to be able to pay the rent and your employees.
Who else works at Party City right now? Because I'm at work right now filling out job applications. That's what I'm doing. So, what are y'all doing?
Is it still easy to get a retail job, or are they kind of becoming scarce now? If you're out there and you work retail, maybe you could let me know. I just have a feeling that to get a job anywhere is probably going to be really challenging. And this is normally the time of year where they usually need extra employees for the holidays. I haven't heard anything about them begging people to work this time of year. Have any of you?
So Party Cities are closing down. I don't usually shop there just because I think it's overpriced and you can get stuff from Etsy that it's more personal. But this means a bunch of sales, so I highly recommend going and getting some last minute things just to stock up on. I'm going to take a peek and show you guys what I find. So if you're looking for a neon sign, I just bought one for really expensive, but they have a giant Let's Party for $32 and it's 10% off. Most things are 10%, 5%, a couple things 50%. So I think later on when it's more closing down, they'll go down even more. Wedding, also 20% off. This is probably where you'll find the most stuff that's good for your bar.
See, I think that stuff is stuff that we all need from time to time, but I don't know. It just seems like every time I go into stores like this, it seems like it's always 2 or 3 people in the whole store.
Party City stores are closing, and I'm currently outside of my local store because they're about to open. And I heard that they have items up to 50% off, so let's go see what we find. All Christmas items are marked down to 50% off, including these Santa outfits. They had a lot of Christmas decor and also outfits for the kids. Also, Halloween costumes and accessories were marked down to 50% off. They had costumes for everyone in the family, including wigs, accessories, and including pet costumes that are 50% off as well. Everything else was pretty much marked down 20% off, 10% off, or 5% off, which isn't enough. So I will be checking back at my local store in the next few weeks because the associate told me that they are marking more things down as the weeks go.
Maybe they didn't do so great this past Halloween.
So we got more bad news. Party City, like Big Lots, is going out of business because of their bankruptcy. But unlike Big Lots, they are immediately going out of business, closing all of its stores effective immediately, laying off all of its employees effective immediately. So this is a sad situation for everybody that works there or everybody that patronizes that chain of stores. Kind of stinks. But this is why we always say when you got a job to go ahead and start building side income from whatever source that you can get, because you never know when the company that you work for might be going out of business. The economy is really took its toll on retail stores. You've seen retail stores either consolidating, rebranding, or closing down.
See, right now we think, well, I'm getting a better deal going online, but imagine when online is all the option that you have, it's going to be jacked up the price, right? And then when you want to go to the mall and meet people, you're not going to be able to.
Party City is closing down all stores in the US after filing for bankruptcy. This is the company's second Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing in 2 years. It is facing financial challenges from inflation and declining consumer demand. Party City acknowledged that despite its very best efforts, it has been unable to overcome its financial struggles and will conduct going out of business sales through February 2025. As for Party City's Canadian stores, they remain unaffected.
That means Canadians get out of the house every now and again. Are you happy, America?
I found out Party City is officially closing and I came for the discounts. I want a helium tank. Let's see how cheap I can get it.
He never goes there for regular prices, but when the store is ready to close, now he's ready to shop. Thanks.
This better be way cheaper. Okay, they weren't lying. I got the helium tank for $15, but I think they close like today, y'all. So I would totally recommend going to Party City like ASAP.
Hey, $15 for helium.
You know, I done been through a lot of layoffs. And I've been in corporate America a long time, 30 years to be exact. And I've never, ever seen a layoff that Party City did today. That was horrible, that was unprofessional, and it was just heartless. There is no reason you should be laying somebody off the day of with no severance package, 5 days before Christmas.
You know, the timing seems really horrible. Couldn't you tell everybody you had 1 month? But then if they did it for a month, people would probably ditch their jobs. So it's like, oh my God. But there's no way to slice or dice it right before Christmas is just tough.
Nothing. That was horrible. That was horrible. That wasn't thought through in the climate that we're in. And y'all wonder why people are snapping, because you're positioning them to not have anything. That was heartless. There was no thought process into that. If you knew something was going on, there should have been some preparation. That was horrible. That was horribly done. And y'all wonder why these people are snapping. You are positioning them to do that when you do things like this. It's crazy.
What do you guys think? Do you think there's some truth to what she's saying? Maybe this has a little bit of the reason that we have people like Luigi Mangione right out there. People are kind of snapping, and the only thing they can think of is to take out somebody at the top because the people at the bottom are constantly just collateral damage. It's awful.
Hey, TikTok, did you know that Big Lots is going out of sale? Going out of business? So my girl and I were here. We gotta check and see what kind of deals we can find. Yay!
So some people are going to look at this as a blessing. They get one last big sale, but then once it's gone, where do you go? To Walmart and Target, Jesse. I know.
Well, guys, what an unfortunate day it is. So Big Lots has announced that they will soon start going out of business and they will be closing all of the locations around the United States. So Big Lots has filed for bankruptcy, and yeah, it's just very unfortunate. You know, we all love Big Lots. They have really great items. They have really great gifts, and they just have a lot of stuff that you can't really find anywhere else. So yeah, it's such a bummer, and this is breaking news. So all the Big Lots are closing, and right now everything in the store is going on sale. And yeah, once they clear the shelves out and everything, then they will be going out of business.
I think the next thing to go is the malls. The malls were where you would meet people, and I think we're going to lose a lot of Marty McFlys. Think about this. When Marty goes back to the 1955, right? It's his job to get his mom and dad to meet at that Enchantment Under the Sea dance or whatever the heck it was called. And now a lot of people that were supposed to meet at Party City, that were supposed to meet at Circuit City and Blockbuster and all these stores that are going out of business forever, we're going to be losing a lot of Marty McFlys. Rest in peace, Marty.
Big Lots is closing down all stores? Hold up, bro. Let me read this. I know, bro. I was just in Big Lots, and there was a lot of people in that. There's no way. This is all fake. I promise you, if they would get bet, it's fake. Hold up. This is from USA Today. After months of store closures and filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, Big Lots is preparing to close all of its locations, according to a press release issued by the company on Thursday. This is right from the company. What?
It is real. And I think in Big Lots case, they always would have people going in there with empty backpacks and then they leave with a stuffed backpack and they didn't have any like policy to deal with theft. And then on top of that, you got people that are making $20 minimum wages and it just becomes impossible to stay open for these stores. Because remember, they have to compete with the Walmarts and the Amazons. It's just impossible.
Okay, yes, I am using a filter because I want to look good for the day that Big Lots is closing. Oh my God. Where am I going to get all my kitchen and my crap and come with my coupons? And look at that beautiful sunset. The sunset, the sun is setting on Big Lots.
Yeah, it is. It's very sad.
Support people other than Amazon. I love you, Amazon, but man, we can't be stuck with only Amazon.
I know.
Support.
It's too late.
Everybody a little bit. If everybody shopped just a little bit in all these little stores, we won't be empty.
See, that's where I blame you guys. I shop on Amazon just like the rest of you, but I still go to the mall and I still go to these stores and I actually buy stuff. That's what you need to do. What doesn't make sense about Big Lots is they did seem to have at least a steady stream of customers. But at the same time, I'm still mad at you guys. We need to get out to the mall and buy stuff just for the sake of having a mall for future generations. Why don't we talk about this more? Go get your shoes. Let's go for a walk.
Good morning, Venters. Oh my God, Texas clobbered Clemson. They look really, really good. Still going for my Sun Devils, of course, but you know, Texas looks really good, no doubt about it. Guys, yesterday I had a video about missing women. Very important video. But I actually titled the video, I think I caught a UFO. Because for once, I think I might have actually caught a UFO going behind me. Or if it wasn't a UFO, it might have been a falling star or a shooting star that we saw during daylight hours, which is probably a 1 in a million. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was literally a tiny bleep on the screen, but if you look at it slowly like I did, it traveled quite a ways across the sky. So again, whether it's a UFO or a shooting star that I caught during daylight hours, I still think it's pretty cool. If it's something other than that, like a goofy blip on my screen or something weird, then so be it. But I still thought that somebody would have made a comment about it. I guess everybody found it not so interesting. My bad, America. My bad. Guys, I've got horrible news. I don't know if I kept this part of my video that I made the other day, but the original Phoenix Sun, his name was Dick Van Arsdale, he passed away the other day. A couple years before him, Al McCoy, our famous announcer, passed away, or it might have been a couple months. It's all a blur. My grandmother left us. All of my family members have been basically dropping like flies. I actually attended a funeral the other day of my grandmother's baby brother, Frank, who made it to like age 89 and a half or 90. But anyway, the reason I'm mentioning this is one of the movies that I saw a couple of years back was a Stephen King movie called The Langoliers. And it was based on this idea that these people were kind of stuck in limbo where they weren't quite on today's timeline, but they were watching as yesterday was literally disappearing. In other words, they were watching as the past got gobbled up and erased. Kind of a weird movie, but that's kind of how I feel about the world today. Because not only have all these things from my past slowly been eliminated, but I'm sure you guys might have heard about this. Party City and Big Lots recently filed bankruptcy. I think Party City did it in 2023, and I think Big Lots did it in 2024. Both companies were unable to pull it together, and CEOs of both companies basically announced that those companies are going to be going out of business. Party City in February of 2025, and Big Lots, it's undetermined, but basically they're shutting down all the stores. Now this is freaky to me because my junior high where I went to school in Mesa, Arizona, it was called Powell. It shut down and got eliminated. I mean, most of us, you could still go to your junior high and your high school and your grade school and it's still there. One of the middle schools that I attended, because I attended two, the one I went to in Mesa disappeared off the planet Earth. The mall I used to go to, Metro Center, famous mall here in Arizona, disappears off the face of the earth. So many things from our past have just gone the way of the dinosaur, and now Party City and Big Lots are going to be joining them in our memories. What if we found out that the earth was just our brains all connected, right? Because sometimes scientists say this gobbledygook type stuff. But what if Party City and Big Lots is just something that collectively we all see as part of our past, and therefore it is rightfully just kind of being erased? I know that sounds a little goofy, but it's kind of freaky. You always knew that worst came to worst that you could probably go and get a job at Party City or Big Lots, or your kids could get a job there. There was always a retail job there. Now places like Sears, they no longer exist. Party City no longer exists. Big Lots, it's out of here. And I think we all know why. People just aren't going out and shopping at the same rate that they used to. We used to love going out and going shopping in this country and being social. And for some reason, we just don't like doing that anymore. Is anyone else starting to get Twilight Zone type feelings? It's really starting to feel like we live in some sort of dystopian book that we read years ago while we were in junior high school. But I believe Big Lots was kind of there because some people just don't really want to go to Walmart, and some people just don't live close enough to a Target. And so they always had Big Lots to kind of fill in those voids. And there's a lot of Big Lots shoppers that are very loyal to that store. Now with Party City, I've gone in there probably about 6 to 10 times in my life, mainly to buy party balloons and party favors, right? But I know that a lot of people saw that as a pretty important part of their life growing up too. If your kids had a party, it probably wasn't uncommon for you to take a look at what's going on at Party City. You needed some helium balloons, maybe you go to Party City for your helium balloons. But either way, this day going forward, we're gonna have to get used to those companies being a distant memory. I don't know if Mervyn's has gone completely out of business, but for my whole life, we had stores like Miller's Outpost and Mervyn's, and now it just seems like all those places have just kind of come and gone, and it's really weird. It just makes you wonder, what's the future gonna look like? Because if we ultimately get to the point where box stores can't really stay open anymore, it's all about being a presence online, well, we're gonna get to the point where every one of us has a choice. You can either work in the food and restaurant business and industry, or you can be like a computer person. And even when you hear about layoffs and stuff, it's mainly in IT. So I don't know what the heck the average Joe's gonna do in the future. We have to all become doctors and surgeons. And even with that, they say that that's gonna be taken over by robotics and AI in the future too. Does anyone kind of feel like we're moving into a future that's kind of hostile against us? Maybe that's why people talk about UBI so much, right? Universal Basic Income. Here's the problem with UBI. It's going to probably go towards a portion of your, your shelter costs, right? Wherever you live. But I think they're going to make it just like they've been saying, where none of us will own anything and we'll just have to learn to love it. But I think part of the reason that these box stores went out of favor is not because people don't ideally like to go out and shop at them, but they kind of lacked the selection that you have online. And then on top of that, they kind of lacked the pricing, right? If you find something at a box store or in the mall, you can probably find it online for a couple bucks cheaper. And a lot of these places will ship it to you overnight, so you get it within, let's say, 1 to 4 days tops. Well, for a lot of people, they're willing to sacrifice that immediate, put it in their hands feeling that you get at the store. They're willing to sacrifice that in the name of saving 5 or 10 bucks. Here's the problem. The only reason you were saving 5 to 10 bucks is because the online retailers, they wanted to get a foothold on us. They wanted us to give the loyalty to them. And now we've hit that tipping point where these stores are starting to fall every single month, right? Another store is going out of business. And pretty soon those pricing discounts that we became accustomed to, pretty soon those things are going to go the way of the dinosaur as well. So pretty soon you're going to be paying horrible prices, just like we always did when we would go to the mall. But at the mall, where you could have some social interaction and really be sociable with people, now there's going to be none of that. The future is going to be an antisocial, anonymous state of being where all of us have to constantly worry about our identity being stolen and our accounts being drained. That sounds like a potential living hell. I never thought I'd say that. I always was told that when we went through the Industrial Revolution and we went from an agrarian society to, more of an industrial society, I was always told that there were people out there that freaked out about cars. They thought that cars were inferior because, you needed to pave roads, and if you didn't have paved roads, it was really challenging for these early model vehicles to, kind of make way. But slowly but surely, a lot of those people started retiring their horses. And they thought that the world was going to go bad, but little did they know that the world ended up kind of becoming a better place when we started using vehicles instead of animals, right? Beasts of burden. But this is different. We can't all become IT people, and we can't all become doctors and lawyers, right? I mean, there's got to be more to do than that. And I don't think we can all just become entrepreneurs either. In the past, you always knew that there were these retail jobs and there were these waiters and waitressing jobs, right? But every day, the waiters and waitresses are being leveraged out because you need to be able to make more than $4 or $5 an hour plus your tips. You need to put yourself in a situation where you can make 30, 40, 50 bucks an hour, and that just wasn't going to happen as a waiter or waitress. At least I don't think it would on average, right? With these retail jobs, again, you never expected high money, but you always knew they were there in a pinch if you ever lost your quote unquote real job. And by the way, if you work in retail, I don't want you to I don't want to make you feel like that's not a real job. It is a real job. But one of the things you have to get used to in that line of business is that your employer is always going to try to pay you the least. We always thought it was just because they were being greedy, but the truth is, look what happens if you don't sell products well. Everybody loses their job. So maybe it wasn't them being greedy, maybe they were being honest. You just can't survive in this world if you have to compete with Amazon and Walmart.com. And I think it's going to suck in the future. I'm not even a big fan of Amazon now, even though I use Amazon all the time. Does anybody else like me think it's ridiculous that Amazon Prime costs 17 bucks a month? Anyway, we have no one to blame but ourselves. Even when I go to the mall, if I see a pair of shoes there and it's kind of expensive, I'll still look online real quick to see if it's cheaper. So I'm guilty of this too. God, the world is going to be nothing but Walmarts and Targets from here on out. That is a bummer. ALKSJDA says another victim of Amazon. Next up, supermarkets. God, I hope you're wrong, but I have a feeling you're right. God, I don't want a world where we buy every single product from Amazon. I like going to my grocery store, but I also like occasionally going to the dollar store, and I hear even dollar stores are kind of in financial woes. That's the thing, Amazon's got us kind of all hooked. And the way they got it all done is some way, somehow, they're able to a lot of times give you free shipping. and they don't have to really worry about the theft at all, you know, because there's no store for people to steal from. Rudy, the internet god, says we're not social no more. Rudy, it's anymore, but I agree with you. We're not social anymore. It seems to me like with the advent of social media, we've all become really good at being antisocial. It's really sad. Today I went by myself to this restaurant called Mimi's. I don't know if any of you guys have ever gone to Mimi's. It's supposed to be kind of like Louisianan, and they've got some really neat decorations in there. And I had 2 eggs and bacon and stuff, and it was kind of pricey. After the tip, it came out to 25 bucks. And you guys know as well as I do, if you buy eggs and bacon yourself, you could probably make your own breakfast for probably 1/3 of the cost, maybe even less, right? Yeah, probably definitely less. But it's still nice to go out. When you go out, it's good to leave a tip for the person, unless they're horrible. I mean, I'm not saying tip everybody, but if somebody does a good job, they deserve a tip. These are things that make the world go round. But everybody thinks everything is so expensive that we all go out of our ways to like literally cut everything. And when you cut everything, you're literally cutting people out, so to speak. And when we do that, we're going to have more businesses that continue to go out of business. Each and every one of us has heard the expression that the customer is always right. But there's 2 sides to that coin. There's the side that says, yes, I'm a customer, and you're darn right, the customer is always right. But there's also the side that says, yes, I'm an employee, but no, the customer is not always right. So there's both people on both sides of the argument. This person's comment kind of reminds me of this, and we'll talk about it here. This person's name is Hey Okay, a empath traversing contrary. It says, rude companies hiring rude employees with no work ethics, taking selfies all day. What could happen? In other words, if you have a lot of bad service, you're going to end up going out of business. Might not be right away, but sooner or later. And I think we can all agree that there's merits to what's being said here by this person. But here's the thing. They are probably saying that because they probably had a bad experience or two. And whenever there's a bad experience, again, there's usually 2 sides to it. Were you one of these customers that kind of raised your voice and started to be rude yourself? Because a lot of people that complain about bad service are kind of naturally rude. On the other hand, if somebody's going really slow and instead of working, they're looking at their phone, like you say, and taking selfies and stuff, that legitimately is irritating. And I think we've all been at businesses where we see employees that are kind of slacking. We've all seen that. For some of us, we might have been that employee once upon a time. But I agree with you. You should have a good workforce, but keep in mind, a lot of these businesses have to pay their employees somewhat close to minimum wage. And when you have employees that are making minimum wage or even a couple dollars above minimum, a lot of times they're going to go out of their way to not necessarily be the most enthusiastic employee. And if you're not enthusiastic, you're not going to rush back from your break. You're going to come back 3 minutes late from your break. You're not going to rush to get there 5 minutes before your shift starts. You're going to get there right when your shift starts. You're never going to stay 5 or 10 minutes late after your shift ends. You're going to clock out and get out of there. A lot of these businesses, if you don't clock out right when your shift ends, they look at it as a negative sign, and you can actually lose your job because they don't want to pay you any overtime at all. And a lot of times these businesses would cut your hours at 29 and a half because they don't want to give you insurance and full benefits. So when you have everybody and their brother, including the businesses themselves, trying to cut corners and trying to cheat the system, you start to realize that the problem is the system. We keep doing this thing in this country where we constantly want to get a raise for everybody every year. And what that ends up doing is it ends up making companies have to charge a little bit more than they'd like to. And then these companies like Amazon end up taking advantage of that. And we think it's great because we're saving $8 on our costs for a certain product. But I have a feeling that $8 is going to disappear too. And pretty soon we're going to be paying prices that are even higher than we used to pay at the malls. I think the best way to look at problems in the world is to immediately put up a fence right in the middle of that problem. Jump on your side that you're naturally on, but then hop over that fence and kind of try to argue it from the other person's point of view. Because if you can argue from the other person's point of view, you can really start to see where they're coming from. It would be great if every time you lifted up your sales ad and said, hey, do you price match? You've got this product here you're selling for $29, but look, here on my phone and Amazon, it's only $23. Well, you know, if everybody had to compete with Amazon for everything, they would have to go out of business. And I think Amazon knows this. And you see everybody and they're trying to get the absolute best deal. And it just ends up being a bad thing. You never thought Jesse would say that, right? That it's not necessarily good to get the best price on everything. It's really not. The best way to get the best prices would be, you know, go find the shoes you like when they're on clearance, because eventually last year's model does go on clearance. You know, there's nothing wrong with trying to get a good deal. But when you're trying to force everybody to compete with Amazon, it's just impossible. There's probably a good 10,000 people that probably met their significant other at Big Lots. Yeah, but Jesse, most of them get divorced. Yes, Bob, forget I said that. There's probably another 1 million people or so that ended up meeting their best friend at Party City. I mean, there's just lots of things that happen at these places that you meet. Connections are made, pathways cross. Now that's not going to happen anywhere. Lovin' life, living right, says Party City, $15 plus tax for a number of balloons. Amazon, $5 plus $1.25 to Dollar Tree to fill it up with helium, I'm assuming. People are aiming to save, the stores are greedy. So this is that perfect example of that person I'm describing. Imagine this guy going into Party City with his phone held up in the air with pride. These balloons you're charging $15 for, Amazon's charging $5. Give me a deal. And then when the person behind the register that's making, $15 an hour says, sir, I just work here. If you want the balloon, great. If you don't, go buy it from Amazon. I don't care. And so that person goes out the door at Amazon, and they probably take 2 or 3 people with them, because who wants to pay $15 when you can buy it for $5? And before you know it, you've got 900 stores across the country closing in a matter of weeks. So again, did you do awesome by saving $5 or $10? Sure. But somewhere down the line in the future, somebody's going to cut you out of the equation to save $5 or $10 too. Have empathy for others. You're not always the coolest by being the cheapest. You're smart, you're doing good for your family. I appreciate and respect you. But look at the big picture sometimes, because I think sometimes we as people just look at the immediate, gratification we get from a sale or a discount, and who cares if, it makes a company go bankrupt. Animaniacs fan 9320 says, I saw my local Big Lots closing today. You saw a piece of your past disappear. That Big Lots probably started off the day for a lot of fun parties that person had in the past, right? Hey, you remember Joey's 17th birthday party? Remember we went down to the Big Lots and we bought him this, that, and the other? And remember that crazy customer that was in there? I mean, sometimes when we go out and do things, we end up establishing memories and stuff. And I just feel like all that stuff is gone now. We are antisocial. It is so sad. Don't you guys remember begging your parents and grandparents to buy you stuff at Kmart? Kmart went out of business. Sears went out of business. Miller's Outpost, it's gone. Your favorite mall, it's been demolished. How much more do we have to lose so that Amazon can make its $1 billion? I think it's awful, but I think you're great. Keep walking. I'll see you tomorrow.